Thank you all. Okay. Yeah. Just one moment. Okay. I will share my screen. If you can see my screen, the PowerPoint, just give me thumbs up. I need only one thumbs up. Perfect. And again, the last time, what I said, that if maybe sometimes the microphone will be suddenly muted, or maybe for any technical issue, the share screen doesn't appear anymore, just tell me, because we are recording this lecture, and who are not with us, maybe they are waiting it to watch it. So let's do our best that the voice will be always clear, and also the material should be always presented. So sometimes maybe there will be technical issue that I don't know, because giving the lecture, I'm talking with my screen and PC. So sometimes if you see or maybe realize any issue, just tell me in the chatting or voice that maybe your sound is not clear or the screen is not visible to us. Okay. So today we will talk more about. Sorry. So today we will talk more about why it's not mentioned here. See, it's not showing full screen here. I will stop sharing, and maybe I have to do it in the other screen. Give me just 1 second, because I have the different screen. So display settings. Make this. I think now you can see the full screen, yeah? Just I need 1 thumbs up. Yes, perfect, thank you. So today we will revise what we have already discussed before. We will continue talking about flow of control. And then we will start today with C++ function. Then we are going to talk about the variable scopes. And at the end of this lecture, we will have a very small group work with each other. So the aim from this group work, just to practice what we will discuss in this lecture. So don't be afraid of it. So I will be with you in this. So it will be because having an online course, there is no lab session for this. So this is why we need sometimes in the lab session, it is a programming course in the lab session to have this group work or practice during the lecture. So in the last lecture, we talked about a course administration. We discussed the material of the course, and we have already discussed also we discussed the material of the course, and we discussed different issues concerning. Please, Lori, if you can make a mute yourself. I muted you. So we discussed the course administration, we discussed the course material, and we have already discussed the syllable of the course and different resources. Also, we discussed the grading schema and emphasize that there will be no midterm, there will be no quizzes, no tests, there will be only final exam. However, 70% will be for the project and the assignment. So we have to take this assignment seriously, because I believe it is a coding. It doesn't matter to me that you have already read or you can answer some comprehensive question. My main concern will be that you can know how to make a nice programming, the basics programming according to the level of the course. So we discussed also the last time high-level language and machine language. What is the difference? What we mean by high-level programming language, and what is the machine language, and what is the role of the compiler that will translate from the high level to the machine language. And then we start with the C++ programming after giving introduction to it, and then we will go to the variables declaration and the data type. We said the variable it can hold a data with a special type. So it is a memory location where you can store temporarily while you are running your program this data. And we started at the end of the lecture about simple flow of control, how we can make this flow of control, and we started with if-else statement. So again, if anyone had any question concerning the last lecture, let me know. So we have already finished it last time. Today we will start with this, and this, in order to finish the flow of control of C++. While loop. Sometimes you need to have a looping with your program, which means that you are going to execute a special statement or set of statements for a periodic time. So it means that one for a specific number of times and based in condition. Let's take this example. So while loop, you will have a Boolean expression. If you remember this Boolean expression, the same we used it in if-else the last time. We said if there is a Boolean expression, if x less than 5, if x does not equal 5, if you should have an expression that will return to you true or false, because there are conditions for this. The same case here to while, you will have a Boolean expression, and you have a statement or set of statements, and you are going to run this statement for a periodic of times, which means that it depends on a counter based on this loop. Let's take this example. Here we declare a variable, we name it integer countdown. So here, and then we will ask here, how many greeting do you want? Then count, then C out, C in. Then we said, okay, while, you see, while count greater than 0. So it will make here, either you can make a decrement or increment. So countdown equal countdown minus 1. So you can countdown plus 1, or you can write it countdown plus plus, or countdown minus minus. So in the loop, while loop, you will have here, this is the Boolean expression, then at which if you can say it in other words, when the loop will stop. And you should have a counter to know how many times you are going to run this loop. So if we see here, so this can be then C out, hello, countdown minus 1, and this is all return 0. So this is a sample. If you want, we can run it with each other here, and it will be a good opportunity. Yeah. You remember, by the way, I told you last time that you can use Microsoft Visual Studio, sorry, or you can use any editor. Today, for example, I will show you an online editor that you can use it. So I don't recommend a special one. Me, I use Microsoft Studio because I use it for different programming language, not only C++. So it's up to you. if you want to use a Microsoft Visual Studio, you should know that it's after you installed Visual Studio 2017 or 19. And I think because we starting this year, we all have 365 Office project or Microsoft project. So I think that you can use your university account to activate your license. I'm not 100% sure, but in my case, I use it to activate my my account. So you can try this if you want to use Microsoft Visual Studio. So after then you install it, just you can go and create a new project. So here, when you want to create a new project, you should just give there as you have different predefined template for your project. Either you said it is an empty one, or you want a console app, which means that there will be a console that gives me the output, or you have Windows desktop with it. But this is, you maybe will use it in more advanced course when you have to learn how to make a graphical user interface. So according to the level of the course, I will go to the console app. So then next, just you have to give a name, whatever it, let's say a 7, I name it. So, and then it will create for you a new project. By the way, you don't have always to create a new project. You can just create it once and then you will use it always for all examples. And here, if you go, here you can see the Solution Explorer. What do we have? Normally, let he finish. So at this level, we will use only this source file. Sometimes you are going to add a resources file, like you have a multimedia files, images, and other files. You will have the headers. Lately, when you will go to a more advanced level, you will see that we can sometimes the declaration will do it in the header file, and the implementation will do it in the source file. So far we will use only here source file, and then if you have to go here and then here, this is the same code that we are talking it with the while loop. So if I run it now, a console should appear. Here it is. So according to this code, here you will have a C out. How many greetings do you want? Which means that you have but then I make a C in. We discussed the last time C out and C in, and we said what is C out? This is to print a message. C in to get a value from the user. So in this case, according to our code, we said how many greetings do you want? So then here, the expected input from the user, we are going to save it an integer variable. We name it countdown. So if I said 5, so according to the code that we have it here, we said we will make a while loop, and this while loop will always work whenever the countdown is greater than 0. So this is a Boolean expression. Why we name it Boolean? Because there is a comparison. Whenever the value of countdown is positive, in this case, you will go to different iterations. So, and here we make a decrement. We said in each iteration, make a decrement by 1. So in the first iteration, I give it 5. So it will go for the first time, countdown is 5, then be -1. For the next iteration, it will be 4, then it will be 3, then it will be 2, then it will be 1, then it will be 0. So when it will be 0, it will not go to this iteration. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When it will be 0, it will not go to the loop. So the program will go out of this loop, and then you will have this running out from this from this loop in this case. If you have any question, I'm very happy to hear any question from you. Okay. So let us continue. So here we have already now discussed the while loop, and we said that there should be have a Boolean expression, and then we can have a counter or increment or decrement for this counter, and based on this value, we can have different iterations to execute this statement according to this example that we have already run with each other. So now there is another type of loop, we name it do while. The main difference between while and do while that do will make we will process the statement, then we will check the expression. So you will have a minimum one iteration, not like while. While will check the while here. We are going to check here. We are going to check the expression. Then we will go to the loop to make different iteration based on the value of the Boolean expression that we are using. However, here you will execute different statement, the first iteration, and then you will go to check the Boolean expression. So let's take this example here. Here we declare a variable type character, say answer, say out hello. Do you have another greeting? Press yes or no. So I'm expecting to give yes or no from the user. Then I will take this value and put it in a variable. I name it answer. So I said here, while answer equal yes or answer equal capital or small, I can run this loop. So whenever the user will give me, put something greater rather than yes, uppercase or lowercase. So in this case, I will go out of this loop. But here you can see that the user will enter to the first iteration, and the compiler will execute the first iteration. Then it will double check the user input if it fits the expression yes, no. Here, no. We are going first before to go to check the expression or if it is satisfied or not in order to go to this loop. So the main difference is we can see that here that the while loop might be never executed, because sometimes if you have put an expression and this expression is being not Boolean expression, this condition is not being satisfied, in this case the statement in the body of the loop will not be executed. However, in the do while loop, there will be a statement that we are going here in this case, by the way, we have to do a do while because we put in the statement we need to get from the user the first input. So it should be executed at least once according to our code here. Here, because the counter for us, it depends what is the value we give it, for example, if we give it a value or not. So if we give it any value in this case, so here we have to have the value of the counter. We get it from the user before we go to the loop. So here while it can work because you know the value of the variable that are going to make increment or decrement for it before you start your loop, so you can check the Boolean expression is satisfied well or not. But here you are going to get the input within the statement of the loop. So in this case, that's the user or the compiler has to execute the loop at least once to get the input. Based on this input, you can know how many iterations, if there will be an iteration or not. So do while is always executed at least once. A while loop may never be executed. This depends about what is the case study that you have it and what kind of code you needed in order to know to which one you are going to use. The last name is for. For it's more popular than both of them. For loop use the same component as the while loop, which means that you have to initialize the counter variable you are using, and you have to set the Boolean expression or the condition when this loop will stop? And are you going to make increment or decrement for this counter? So if we go here, we can say this example. Sorry. If you can see this example, here we can see that this is for loop. We initialize the counter as number equal 100, then we set number plus or greater than 0, then number minus minus. We are making decrement. And then we execute whatever statement we have to do. We can do the same code using while. So, however, we first declare it, initialize a counter. We put the same condition like here, and the decrement will done here within the statement. Here, according to for loop, the initialization will take place before starting the loop. Here also the initialization of the counter will take place before we start the loop. Here, the number greater or equal to 0, so the Boolean expression, it is the same here. It should be checked before each iteration. Number minus minus, which is the decrement in this case, here also, even though we had already written here, after the iteration is done, then we will go to decrement. The same here. So you execute the statement and the decrement will be the last statement in this case. So both of them, they will have the same output and they work in the same way. So here the for loop and the while loop is the same. It's different how we write the syntax, but however it's the same. So if we are going to make some discussion, which loop we have to use? Between do while loop and while loop, they're almost, let's say, it's easy to know that do while you are going to use it if you are going to execute the body or the statement or the set of the statement for at least once. In this case, for example, you are going to get the input using this statement and you will not get the input before the loop. So we can know when to use do while. While and for loop, I will go to the for loop if I want to make an increment decrement for a special, for example, I have set of statement, I want to execute it based on different, like for example here, I want to execute this statement for 100 times. So I will go to for loop and I can use a while loop, but in this case I will use a for loop. The while loop I will keep it because why I will use the for loop? Because here it's easy to write it. I make initialization and declaration and make my Boolean expression or condition and make my decrement. I put it in one line. Here I have to do it before while, then here a while, and then I have to put it inside while. So when we will use while, not for in this case, you will use while not for if you are not going to make a numerical increment or decrement for a number of iteration. For example, you are going to make a condition while you are giving a string variable. Like the example before, which means you're expecting here, you do it in do while. Here, the example here, you have an answer. So you can say, if you can use a while the answer equal yes, and you can get the answer, you can get the input before you go to the loop. But in this case, there is no numeric counter or for increment decrement for a special counter to use a for loop. In this case, you are going to execute all of the iteration till there is a condition is being satisfied. So having a condition based on string value, it's better to use this as because to use while loop because there is no a special number of iteration. There is no a predefined number of iteration. Like this example, we will have a predefined number of iterations. So for loop, it's easier and our code will be more organized to use it than using while. However, if we have a condition that is not related to number of iteration, so you always to run this till you will get a special input from the user. So no need to use for in this case, we have to go use while. So to sum up, I will go to the for. If not, I will go to while or do while based if I want to execute at least once a statement or not. Do you have any questions before to go to exercises? We will have exercises, so if you have a question, tell me now. Before I continue, I need 3 thumbs up. 3 thumbs up to continue. Team, 3 thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, perfect. Okay, let's go now to the exercises. Brainy, again. Brainy is here. So, Brainy, let's go to see what he has to us today. Print I as long as I less than 6. So print I as I less than 6. Okay, let's see. So Brainy wants us to print out I as I less than 6, which means that if starting from I equal 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when I is 6, 7, 8, 9, we will not print I. So do you know what is the fill in the blanks here? Any volunteer? Or I will ask Brainy to choose one. While. Viraj. While. Yeah, why? Yeah, you are correct, Viraj. It is while. While you said while. Tell me, Viraj. Why not for? Why not do while? Do you have a mic or you want to try something? Seems that Viraj doesn't have a mic. Or are you writing something, Viraj? Okay. Okay. Team, while Viraj is writing something, can somebody else tell me what will be here? No volunteer, Brainy will choose. To be honest, according to syntax, I choose, yeah. Yeah, correct, Viraj, according to syntax. Yeah, this is what I want to say. Because if it will be 4 here, then we will have 3 parameters. And if it will be do, so the why will be here, and the expression will be here. So based on the syntax, it is while in this case. So my second question is about what will be here.
Return 0.
Sorry? Go ahead, Hazard. Okay.
Will it be return?
Return. Yeah. Okay, if we will make a return here, normally we should have a return when we declare a function. We will talk about it now lately. However, if I make a return here, suppose return 0, whatever it is. So this loop we said while I less than 6 and I equal 1. So we will have this loop will never stop in this case. Yeah, perfect, Firaj. We can set I equal I minus 1, or we can write it in a simple case I minus minus. So decrement, we can use a shortcut for it, I minus minus. It is the same like I equal I minus 1. And if you want to write I equal I plus 1, we can write it I plus plus also. Both are the same. So we can write here I minus minus in this case. Or I plus plus. It depends what we want here in this case because we are going to increment to it, so it will be I plus plus in this case. Okay, so next it will be integer I equal 1. We have 3 to fill it. Who will be the next volunteer? Go ahead. If you will not answer brainy, anger will come. Anger will come, which means that he will give us bad grades. Yeah, Firaj. So you said do. So here I will have put do or here. The first one, what will be? Viraj, do? Or I minus 1? Do. Yeah, do. You are correct. According to the syntax, Viraj, yeah. So according to the syntax, here should be do. Yeah. Do while. And there will be here an increment, so we can do it inside or outside. So each time we are going to have to make this increment or decrement, whatever it is. Perfect. So let's go to another exercise. Oops, brainy. I don't know if you have already seen it. So what do we have here? Any volunteer? 4. Yeah. Yeah, Bryden. 4. Yeah, correct. 4. And we said according to the syntax that we have already discussed, we will have 3 parameters with the 4. The first parameter is about the counter initialization. The second one about the condition. And the third one will be increment or decrement. Because he said we have to print yes. It's very easy that this is we have to have yes here. So stop if loop equal 5. Here, there are some things that we haven't discussed, but I put it here just so we can discuss it here. So first, here we will make a for loop, but he said stop if I equal 5. Do you know what we are going to put here? While? No, Cora. Because if you put a while, we have already created a loop, so we have a nested loop. So, however, as Viraj said, so it will be if in this case. Yeah, Bryden. So it will be if I equal 5. Yeah. But he said that if I equal 5, stop the loop. Do anyone have an idea? We haven't discussed this. I don't expect you know this. A break. Viraj, it seems that you are a good programmer. So yeah, as Viraj said, it's break. So break will let you stop a loop, which means that you will stop your loop and you will go out of the loop. There is another one, continue, if I know this. Break means you will stop the loop based on a condition. Continue based on condition, you will go out of the iteration and will go to next iteration. Again, break means you will go out of the loop. Where's the scope of the loop here? So you will go out from this loop, you will go to next statement. Continue, if we don't use break, we use the word continue, for example, you will go to the next iteration in this case. Okay. If there's any problem with this code, it seems Brainy doesn't have an answer here. So do you feel or you see that here, this code, everything okay, or there is a problem with this code? Maybe it's okay. Maybe there is no problem. And maybe there is a problem with it. I will give you 1 minute to give me an answer. Cora think x does not equal 12 is wrong. Okay, why it's wrong? So what will happen here? When you said it's wrong, what do you mean by it's wrong? You think that it's wrong. What will happen here? In the end? What do you mean in the end? Any, yeah, in the end while. Yeah, you said there's a problem here, but my question now is when you said there is a problem or something wrong, what do you mean? What will happen here? Any answer, team? Go ahead. Yeah, Viraj. So in the end, you said why, but what Cora and Viraj said that there is a problem with it. It should be x less than 12. Why it should be x less than 12? Syntax error? No, I doesn't think syntax error. It is a logical error, not syntax error. If you go see here, we said what let's analyze this. We start with x equal 1. We said this is a while loop, so whenever x does not equal 12, which means that x does not equal 12, this loop will always will run. So it will stop when x equal 12. If we have x plus 2, you start with odd number. 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 2, 5. 5 plus 2, 7. 7 plus 2, 9. You will never reach 12 because whenever you add an odd number to an odd number 2, you will have another odd number, and 12 it is an even number. So in this case, this loop, it will be an infinite loop. So you will have an infinite loop because the Boolean expression that you use there is no and specific iteration where it will stop. This will make something, we name it infinite loops. So take care when you declare your loop and you declare a Boolean expression for this in order not to have an infinite loop. Because if you have an infinite loop, this will never stop. And your computer will always be working till your RAM will be overloaded and your computer will crash. So when you declare a Boolean expression, you should take care that this Boolean expression should stop in a place that you are planning to stop at it and special iteration. So in the coding we say infinite loop. Are okay? Any questions so far? I need one thumbs up to continue. Thanks, Cora. So, thanks, Biden. So, we finished if else the last time, and today we discussed so far 3 syntax for loops: for loop, while loop, do while loop. The last point we are going to discuss in the flow control. We named flow control because we are controlling the flow of data and flow of different iteration of building different Boolean expression. We will use something we name it here switch. What is a switch? Switch, it is not a for loop. It is similar to if-else statement. However, you don't have only one value to your Boolean expression. For example, before here, in this example, we said if I equal 5, we said here if I equal 5, you can stop. So you build your Boolean expression based on a predefined one value. Sometimes you will have different value to your Boolean expression that you are using it. And for each value, you are going to execute a special statement. So again, you will have different value for this Boolean expression, and for each value, you are going to execute a different statement. In this case, we are going to go to use a switch case. Like here, let's go ahead, switch. We will build our condition based on a variable we declare. It is a character variable. We name it grade. So we will get here this input from the user and we put it in a variable grade. Based on different value of this, we will have different output or different execution. So case we received an A, we said we will see out your grade is excellent. Case we received from the user B, will execute this. After each one, it's break. It's similar to the break that we have discussed before. Break will get you out of the loop. So break will get you out of the switch case here. So if you receive, so you going to execute different statement using different values. And if you didn't receive any of the predefined values, you always will have a default value, which means that if the user doesn't give me A, doesn't give me B, doesn't give me C, doesn't give me D, doesn't give me F, I will ask, say, so I will go to here to the default one. This is why you always have a default, because you build your switch case based on different predefined values, and then you will have a default, which means that out of this value, what will be the default value in this case? As we see here, so if it ray, I will out for this. If it will be, I will output this. If it will be out of this. I have a question. It is not written here. It just came to my mind now. So this is a switch case syntax. Can we write the same code using something rather than switch? Anyone has an idea? Based on what we know so far. Perfect, if else. So yeah, you are correct, Braden. You are correct, Ayush and Cora. We all are correct. So yeah, we can use if else statement, but however, we will have a nested if else. So we said if grade for A, if grade equal A, do this, else, then we will have another if equal B, else, another if, else if, else if, else if. So we can use nested else if, but for sure, switch in this case is better than using else if. Now when you will go more about programming, sometimes you will have different ways to reach the same code. So both of code will work and will give you the output or the expected result. Now the point, which code is better? The shortest code, again, the shortest code is always a better code. The shortest code is always a better code because it will be more efficient, because your compiler will go line by line by your code, line by line. So if you put more lines, it will take more execution time. So whenever you have a less syntax, it's better to use it. And sometimes, yeah, there are different issues we have to consider. This is when we have to enhance our coding. It is not because of the size of syntax, and also because sometimes the variables that you use don't use a variable more than you need it. We talk about this. For example, if you expect that you will not have a huge number, don't use a double. Let's use a floor, for example. Don't use a long double. In order not to, because all the variables, they will take a space from your RAM, which means that this is a temporary memory that you are using while you are executing because you are not saving in a file, you are saving in a variable, and variable will take part of your real-time memory. So sometimes you have to take care about not to overuse your memory. And if there is another way to write your short code in the shortest way, do it, because it will take less time for execution. Okay. Last part today, we are going to talk about it. No, this is another part. C++ functions. So we finished with the flow of control. We know how to declare a variable. We can know how to make a looping and make different flow of control, like if, else statement, and switch. Now, how we can create a function in C++. So what is a function? A function is a block of code that we give it a label, which is the function name, with different parameters. Here we name it function header. This is a function name, total cost. This is an example if I want to calculate the total cost for a product, which means having the price for one entity times number of the product times multiplied by the tax in order to have the total cost of this product. So this is the name of the function. This is the parameters that we expect from this is an input for this piece of code. We always, when we declare a function, we will discuss more. We should always predefine what is the type of the input that we will expect later when this function is being called. This is a function definition and declaration. And then we know something, we name it a call function. Why you have to use a function? Because sometimes the same piece of code, we will use it in different places. So maybe now total cost, this is a small procedure, a small set of statements that take two input, the number of quantity of the product and the price of this product, and return to me the final cost for this set of products. So maybe I will use it in different places in my code. I will use in the same file and maybe in other files I'm using inheritance. So maybe it's out of the scope to talk about inheritance in this course, but however, which means that this is piece of code we are going to use in different places. So rather than each time you want to use it, go ahead and declare it, and go ahead and make a new definition, and then we call it. So we define it once, and we use it in different places. So there are two components when you think about creating a function. First, declaration, which means that you can declare a function, then you can make an implementation or definition for it. So what is the name of the function? There's a parameter list. And what is the type of the return from this? Function definition, that what is the code or the set of statements that is included in this function. A return, this is a return. What is a return? A return can be a variable, or you can make a statement that you executed finally. And the return will be the return for either this is the output of this variable or output for an expression. So it can be an expression or it can be a variable, the return. Let's take this example. Here, I make a function declaration. I said I want to create a function. I name it total cost. This function will return a double value. And this function will take two parameters. I give the name of the variables because to use it within the code, but this is, we'll talk about later about the variable scope. But when what is the main concern that when this function is being called, that I expect this variables type from the user. If I will not receive the same time, in this case, I will have a fatal error or a syntax error in this case. So I will have a runtime error when I run this program. So I receive the price and the bill and the number. So, and then you see, I make just, I will here, by the way, I can define it in any place in the file, and I can, doesn't mean that I have to define it before here, I put here, it doesn't matter. I can define it out of the main method, or I can define it here also. I can do it, but it's better to do it here in order if you want to use it in different places. So I will define here that total cost exists. The tax rate is 0.05. Suppose we are talking about it because we are in Canada for the 5% sales tax. So we will return subtotal. This is just a very small mathematical expression. And then here we define it. This is a function body or set of a statement. And this is, we name it a function definition. We define it based on this declaration. By the way, you can go ahead and make a definition without make this declaration. It will be okay. But it's better to do it like this. So I can go and declare here or define that what I have already declared. Here I call the function. When I call the function, I use the name of the function and I will send two parameters. This two parameter, it is a must. Again, it is a must to have the same type according to what we have already defined. When we define it and we declared, we said we expect integer and we expect double. So the number should be already an integer. And here the price should be a double one. So here we call the function and the output of the function. What is the output? Would be here, this output. The output will be double. So we have to declare an output double variable that will hold the output of this function. In this case, we can call this function many times. We can call this function many times. It doesn't mean that maybe later we can declare another way, say with bill 2. And then I can go ahead and make a bill 2. And I said it is total cost. So this piece of code that takes this two input and return this output based on different mathematical calculation, the same code I can call it different times. So rather than whenever I want to use it in another place, go ahead and define it and declare it again, just I can call it. So there are three abbreviation or three terminologies you should be familiar with this. Declaring, defining, calling. When I declare, I will set this function, what is the name of it, what is the input parameter for it, and what is the return type, like what I did here. Define, I will define what is the body of this function and what is expected to return. Call, I can call it in any places within my code whenever I need it. This is very nice. A piece of code, rather than implementing different times, just you can call it many times as you wish, as you want. Yeah, sometimes in C++ you don't have, okay, we said when we declare it here, declare, I'm not talking about define the definition. We said here declare that we give integer number. So if you want just declaring it, we can integer and price, because as I have already said, my concern it is what is the parameter types that will taking place. This is my concern in this case. It's very important to consider the order of the argument when you call the function. For example, here you declare the first integer and then it is received par and this is integer. Yeah, and then you make a variable 95 and 9. When you call the function, you switch them. You will not here have a syntax error. Why? Because when you declare the function, you said it takes two integer. But you will have a logical error like the one we talked about it, which means that you sometimes your compiler, okay, you declare that you need two integer, and then when you run it, you put two integers, so it's okay. However, you switch the two arguments, so you will get another result, not the expected result. So the order of the argument is very important, you know, because when you like here, we expect here to get the number of product, and here's a price. So suppose here it is the same type, and then it switches. So here the calculation will be not the same expected output that we expect from our code. So you have to take care for the order of argument. When you call a function, you should have the same order as being already declared and defined also. So I said concerning declaration and definition doesn't mean that that you make a declaration of function definition and sometimes prior to the main function as we did. And the function definition after the main leads naturally to building your own library in the future. So doesn't mean that if the function definition precedes a call or declaration is needed, doesn't mean, because when you go at your compiler, when you know that you have already declared it, and then we will call it, even though I thought you go line by line, but say a function is being declared, doesn't know where the definition, so your compiler will go ahead and see where it is being defined. So the sequence between declaration and definition, it doesn't matter so much. You can do it and put it in different places. But again, in order to write a professional code, you should have a good sequence, because sometimes you should have a so good sequence and you should have a good comments, because you should expect somebody else will go ahead and read your code. This happened with many programmers. Sometimes a programmer will write a code, he's focusing more about how to get the expected output and not writing the code in a very clear way and a correct way. Who will come later to read your code, you will not understand your code. I'm talking about another developer. So especially try your best now to get accustomed to how to write a clear, well-organized code, because it's very important. It's the same when the kids go to the school, the teacher will do their best to have a good handwriting, because if they don't start having good handwriting, their handwriting will be always bad one. So if we are in a very basic level, we have an entrance level with the programming, we are very junior. So let's do our best now to have a good, well-organized program and get accustomed to it. If we get accustomed to it, then this will go us when we go from upper level and higher level. Function overloading. Function overloading, we talk about function overloading when we talk about we declare a function having the same name like here, my function. However, it has different parameters. This is, we name it function overloading, which means you redefine a function because you have more than one definition, not only one definition, more than one definition. Yeah, this can redo it. And the compiler, it will be okay for it. The compiler will see. You define here a function and take 2 integer, and you have the function that take 2 double. Here return, here return. So if you want to return an integer for 2 integer, then you will give 2 integer variable. If not, you give 2 double variable. So you can have different definition to the same function, to the same name. And then the compiler because we said there is a declaration definition and then there is a running. So here we declare and define the functions, two different definitions for the same name, for the same function. And then when you call the function, the compiler will know to which definition based on which parameter you are using when you're calling. So here you enter 2 integer, then will compiler know, then you are going to go ahead for this definition. Here you are using 2 double, then you are going to add here for this definition. So the compiler in this case will know which definition based in, let's say, in what you are going, or how you are going to call by passing to which parameter you are going to pass later. Do you want to have a break? We need almost half an hour more. So do you want to have a break or not? If you want to have a break, I expect 3 thumbs up. No thumbs up, I will continue. So Cora 1. So Cora, if you are the only one thumbs up, you will continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, Cora, I don't get the 3 thumbs up. I have to continue. So variable scopes. Variable scopes, it is talk about local variable, which means variable declared in a function, or let's variable declared in let's take an example, and here we named a local variable like a variable declared like here, for example. If I don't know if there's an example here. Yeah, here. This is x and y. We declare it here in this function. So we can't use x and y outside of this function. We can say, for example, here C out, or here C in, take something and put it in x. You will get a syntax error, or you can get a compiler error, because the scope of this variable, it is in this function. So this is, we name it a local variable. They are local variable for this function. The scope of usage of this variable will be this function. So you will have a local variable declaring, especially in this, for example, you can declare it in the main method. So you can use it in the whole main method. Or you declare it in a special function, you can use in this function. Or you will have a global constant or global variable. Like for example here, global variables or global constant is the same. The difference between that this is, you will give it as a constant value, and this value will not be changed. This is why we say it constant. So if you declare, and normally we use constant more than variable, because, for example, you will have this is like, you know, this pi in mathematics. This is a constant value that you use in different calculation. So rather than each time use the same numbers, we declare a constant before the main method, and we can use an all, because we declare it before the main method. So all the main and different functions, this file can see this constant. When you set a global variable, it is the same like a global constant, but it is a variable that can be used by all. But it is meaningless to create a variable without a value to use in different places. Normally, we create a global variable because there is a special value we have to use in different places. Let's here discuss this example. So here we will have, I declare a constant variable, I name it the globe constant 1.0. So then I just declare a function. So this globe constant is a global variable, can be used here in any place, and in the main can be used because it is a global scope. So global constant can be used in the whole file. If I declare here a variable x in the main method, not within a function. So having this in the main method, and here another variable, I name it double. So in this case, this can be used in the whole main method. Even though you see here in this loop that has its own scope, I can use it, the function x, because the for is nested in the main method. So I can use x without redeclaring x. However, this I that's being declared within for, it is only for. I can use I here, because this is a local variable for this scope. X is a local variable for this scope. By the way, it's very important. Take care of this, because many times you will have an error, or you will have sometimes, even though you don't have a compilation error, you will have sometimes an error because you expect another result, not the same result that you have already expected. So because of the scope of the variable. So take care of the scope of the variable. Where you declare your variable and what is the scope for this variable. You declare it within main method, which means that the scope of this is a main method. Here, for example, x, I can't use x here because the scope of x is a main method, not within the definition function. So I can't use x. And here, this y is the scope here of this y here. I can't use y here. So this is block scope about local and global variable. However, this global constant or global variable can be used in all parts in this code because it was not declared or defined in a special scope. It was declared at the beginning of the file. So in this case, it can be used by all scopes. So again, you have to take care of the scope of your variable because you have now different functions. So there will be a local variable for a function. It can be the main method or another function, or if you need, you have to have a global one. This is so far what I want to discuss with you today. What I'll do now, we will have a small group exercise. Don't worry, don't be afraid. Don't say, okay, no, I don't want to. Again, we are here in the live session in order to help you to understand more the course, to practice more the course. So it is not because this will not affect your evaluation. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid not knowing the answer. I appreciate all of you that they are here that join this live session because they are making an effort to be in this with the live session and they are taking care for this even though it is an optional. So I want to practice more this group work in order that we can all benefit from this. So the group work will be, we will have this group work. Brainy, start coding. I start writing the program using online editor. So if you don't have now the visual Microsoft Visual Studio, so there is hundreds of online. This is I will show you here. So I will show here, for example, this one. That I put it in the lecture. If you go here, this is an online editor. You can use it and you can run, and then you can get that what the result is Ismail مثلا. So it gives me hello Ismail. So you can use this for today for this group work. I will let's discuss what is included in this group work. So this group work, what you are going, you have to write a C++ program. This C++ program will convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. You know that I will here, this is a formula here. So if you get a Celsius, so you will get temperature in Celsius. Here you can use this formula in this case. You will get a temperature in Celsius. It should be a double or float. And then you are going to give an output Fahrenheit. You have to use a small function, right? And then call this function that will do this for you. What I will do now, I will decompose you. How many persons we will have here? So I think we can do it 3 groups. And I will give you, let's say, 15 minutes to write the code. And then we will discuss different code. And again, then you will have this one. I will share it with you, the PDF for the whole lecture, because maybe you have to go to see what we have discussed. And then you will go to this, one of you maybe, not all of you, one of you in each group can go and open this browser and can share maybe the screen with the others. And you can discuss how to write the code. So I will create 2 rooms now. And I will put it you in a randomly way in different rooms, okay? So break rooms, we will have 3 rooms. And I will go to different rooms. I will be with you, don't worry. So open room. Open room. Now you start joining different rooms.